Can you hear us, Barry?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Okay, thanks. Let's get started. Welcome, folks. Tonight is it's 5:30 p.m. We're at the City Council Chambers at 10 West State Street. The date is December 9, 2004. I call the meeting to order and invite those to stand for the pledge. You can.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll.
Fonseca? Here. Kell?
Here.
Lottie
Here.
Mitchell?
Here.
Nichols?
Here.
Schneider?
Here.
Thompson?
Here. Very good. Public comment time. Members of the public may make comments on any item that was not on the agenda at this time. Approach the mic, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes unless I authorize longer. Direct your comments to the mayor and council as a whole, and we, the councilors and mayor, should not engage in discussion or debate on items raised at this time in order not to fail to comply with the public open meetings laws. With that said, the microphone is open.
Evening. I'm going to exercise my Fourth Amendment right not to give my name or address, and I'm also going to redress my grievances with my government. That is my right under the United States Constitution. I also want to let you know that I have a brain injury and I'm going to ask for extra time. I'm going by the Constitution, not your rules, sir. Okay. I didn't prepare this speech, but a couple council meetings ago, I watched you guys debate this gravel thing. And frankly, it disgusted me. You guys basically said, we don't trust our constituents to do the right thing. We don't know if they're going to weed eat it. We don't know if there's going to be weeds. You guys forgot who elected you into this position? Have you guys driven around town in the summertime and looked at the city property? Seriously? And then one of you was even swayed because the other councilors were going to vote a certain way. You just didn't want to cause a rift between council members. What about the people? You know, there was only maybe 2 people up here that actually stood for the citizens. This town's been through hell in the last 5 years. And the people here are not healed. And every time you put more restrictions on them and cost them more money, all it does is opens that wound a little bit farther. You guys want to compare this town with other towns. Well, this town is not other towns. And it's not going to be for a long time. Now, you guys were voted in to work for the citizens. And I hope you're paying attention instead of looking for the rule on whether I need to say my name or not. I wasn't going to come in here on a tangent, but that really ticked me off. Okay, we got these ordinances that you guys say might be abused or we can't trust the citizens. How many parking tickets do we write every year? Is that ordinance abused? Well, it creates a lot of money. So we're not going to do away with alternate parking because people abuse it? We're talking about parking in your own property, your own yard in the United States of America. Do we truly own anything in here anymore? Honestly? Try not paying your property taxes. That house you got paid off, it's not yours. Give the people a break. The only people that can afford to put a concrete pad in this town are the people with a lot of money. And some of these people lost everything twice in 5 years. And they're trying to rebuild. And you guys, I don't know where you think these guys are getting their money. You go look for anything they give away free here in town, there's a line a mile long because they don't have much. But now you're going to tell them where they can and can't park on their own yard. And you guys were going down to the foot and inches. That's tyranny. That's not owning anything. This is the United States of America. You guys work for the people. In my opinion, that whole thing should be lower than this crowd out here. I see people come up here nervous to speak to you guys. They shouldn't be that way. You guys should be nervous when we come up here because it's our job to hold you guys accountable. And I'm going to tell the people out there, it doesn't do any good to get on Facebook the day after or when all this is done and sit on the toilet and complain because that doesn't do anything. You guys got to get your butts in here and hold these guys accountable and make sure they're doing the job you elected them to do. In my opinion, we should be having these meetings over in the roundhouse. There should be so many people here. And if all the people that complain on Facebook would get in here and make sure you're doing the right thing, then you have no reason to complain.
I've let you exceed your 3-minute limit, sir.
Appreciate that. But thank you.
Would anyone else like to approach the mic? Okay. Time for council, administrator, and mayor comments. Let's go with council first. Anybody?
If I may?
You may.
Yeah, I would like to, I should have did this last time. This was an annual Blair's Heart of Gold. He's been given back every year since the tornado, collecting toys for children in Marshalltown. And it was several businesses, 3 of them that I know for sure, Carl's, Botter Consulting, and Mama DeGrado's, and there was several more, and it was definitely a success. There was thousands of dollars of toys that were collected, so I should have did this earlier and got the name out. Next year I will. Secondly, I'd like to thank one of our young local business people, Raleigh Danner from Mama DeGrado's. He's going to take over the Legion Post 46. So I just would like to kudos out to being a young businessman in Marshalltown. Maybe we can all get on our bicycles and ride over to 46 and maybe even take it on down to Mama DeGrado's. But support Mama DeGrado's and the League 46, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. No comments. I guess I would like to thank Mike Ladoff for covering for me for the 2 meetings when we were out of the state. And depending on what our next meeting is, he may have to cover for another one yet this month. So thanks, Mike. Let's go on to ask for approval of the consent agenda. We had somebody pull item 6 from that, so minus item 6. Does anybody move to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second. Roll call.
Mitchell? Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Bodyhoff?
Yes.
Very good. That covers that. That carried. And then read item 6 for us, if you would.
Resolution 2024-271, approving an amended public service agreement with Marshall Cemetery Association, DBA Riverside Cemetery.
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Very good. Counselor?
Yeah, I asked to pull this just because it was on the consent agenda, and I thought there'd be a lot of people maybe interested in it. This is with the lake at Riverside Cemetery. We had pledged, I think, $45,000 to help build a well, but I know they couldn't, and I was just wondering if staff or the cemetery would like to tell the public what the plan is now.
Happy to do so. Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of you this afternoon or this evening. My name is Deirdre Grundler. I'm the interim general manager at Riverside Cemetery. I also sit on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Riverside Cemetery is a 501c13 nonprofit perpetual care cemetery in Marshalltown. We've been in continuous operation since 1863. As part of my interim contract, I've been charged with finding our new general manager, as well as leading some progress on some important projects, and this is one of those important projects. Lake Woodmere is an artificially created water body that's been in place for 120 years. In that time, it's been a habitat for native wildlife as well as for well-loved domesticated birds. It provides for moments for reflection, artistic expression, and family memories. It has even made Riverside Cemetery and Marshalltown notable as far away as Norway and New Zealand. In 2002, as Jeff said, Riverside Cemetery was notified by Marshalltown Waterworks that our previous agreement regarding filling Lake Woodmere was going to be discontinued. This change represented a significant financial impact. At that time, we approached the city of Marshalltown with a possible solution in mind. Together, we created an agreement for public services that was brought to the city council for approval. That was approved by the council on October 24th of 2022. The city did agree to fund up to $45,000 in local option sales tax towards the construction of a permanent well. After receiving the financial commitment by the city, we began the regulatory process with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources. At that point, we learned that a well was not permittable. The best solution is to install a permanent line from the Iowa River to Lake Woodmere that would allow us to fill the pond on demand. The estimated cost to install that pipeline line is $100,000 to $110,000 in total. We are asking for the city for a simple amendment to our original agreement from a focus on the well to focus on the pipeline itself. We're not seeking an increase in funding from the city. The goal for the overall project remains the same, to continue to fill the lake with water so that it can contribute to all of our benefits, and both for the purposes that the cemetery was initially created as well as the way it's used as a park area today. Happy to take any questions and have several board members with me this evening as well.
Thank you, Deirdre. Any questions or comments by the council first? Any public comment? I'd like to thank you for your work with the Hospital Foundation and then being the interim person for the American Animal Rescue League as well.
Thank you.
And have to admit, when our daughters were young, we went to the cemetery constantly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any public comment? Let's call the roll.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Ladioff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Serena. And the board and you don't feel like you have to stick around once your business is concerned. You can leave and nobody questions it. And you're welcome to stay. You know, it's so much fun here.
I got planning and zoning. I'll hang out for that.
Yeah, I meant to add that to the thanks, was for being on planning and zoning too. All right, on to reports. We have one report tonight, the Impact Quarterly Update Report.
Good evening, David Hicks, YSS of Marshall County. All right, come on. All right, 2 is better than 1 for sure. Want to do, instead of a quarterly report, just kind of a year-to-date report. So Susie and our partner Tiffany have responded to 245 calls for service. In addition, 1,056 follow-up visits with over 2,000 people. Comparing that to data last year, it's about 117 less calls we've responded to this year, but they've done over 550 more follow-up visits. So we're starting to see that scale tip to, if we can get out ahead of some things, we can have those less frequent calls coming into impact. So certainly pleased with the performance of our impact advocates. Of those 245 calls so far this year, and this is just through November, 30% involved the homeless, 18% mental health, 16% juvenile issues, and amongst that, substance abuse were a co-occurring disorder about 25% of the time. So 64% of those calls make up homeless, mental health, and juvenile issues. I've always wanted to bring up somebody who's maybe been involved with impact as a service recipient. It's hard to do sometimes to have somebody come up here and talk about what they've gone through. But Susie was sent a text today, and I initially was going to read this, but Susie, I'm going to have you read this, or at least try to. This is due to your hard work, and I'm certainly not going to take any glory or effort away from you. So I copied that text here, but I'm going to have you read it. This is your work.
Is it just this part? or
Just
did you
that
get all
paragraph.
three of them?
Just that paragraph.
Okay. I didn't want to go to a mental health hospital, but I'm so glad you talked me into committing. You're the angel that was sent to me to wake me the hell up. My suicidal threats were nothing more than a cry for help, and I'm thankful it was you who came. I should have done this a long time ago. Today I feel amazing. They have me on a whole new regimen of meds. I haven't felt this good in my own head for probably 15 years, to be honest. So far, so good, and I'll take it one day at a time.
So that's just kind of a snippet of a frequent caller who would call the police with some mental health issues. Susie, and I certainly don't want to exclude Tiffany, just do excellent work getting people services at the right time and the right place, especially a significant mental health issue where they're constantly calling the police. We felt this intervention was pretty powerful, and this is really an unsolicited text that they sent Susie, just that they're doing pretty darn good. So happy to entertain any questions. You can certainly ask Susie direct questions as well. I get to be the face of Impact, but we know who the real rock stars are around here.
Didn't I see that you were invited recently to go to some national?
Yes. So Impact has been invited to present to CoreCon, which is the National Co-Responder Conference in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll be presenting with Dr. Wendy Ringenberg, who's been researching Impact the last 3 or 4 months. In fact, you all were probably interviewed by Wendy. There's been very few research done on the effectiveness or the outcomes of co-responder programs, let alone one in a rural part of the country. So our presentation is assessment and evaluation of a rural co-responder program. So super proud that they invited us to come down and speak. They can't get this data from Dallas, Denver, all those bigger cities. So Marshalltown is happy to be there. So very flattered that they would want Impact to come down and present to a national conference of other co-responders across the country.
Can you tell us who else is going to be presenting down there so we know who Marshalltown's in a mix with?
I haven't seen the full list, but it's folks from all over the country, larger cities, of course. Very few communities, of a rural nature, which is why they're probably wanting us to present. There's just co-responder programs springing up all over the country. We're a little bit ahead of the game, and I think our expertise can help out others across the country in communities our size and larger to do a good job.
I think some of the cities are New York, Chicago.
Yeah, Dallas, Miami, Denver.
Something else, and Marshalltown, Iowa.
Marshalltown, also present amongst that population.
Is Chief Tupper going out with you as part of the partnership that we have?
I don't know.
You haven't invited me.
Okay. I guess this is the public invitation for Chief Tupper to join us in Atlanta, Georgia for CoreCon. Love to have any part. And we've gone the last 3 or 4 years. And honestly, Susie and I, when we have gone and our other team members, I've said that the presentations we've gone to, I think we could do a better job. I honestly do. And I think we'll be well represented.
I know from the chief and you and the reports you've been giving that you guys are getting calls all the time from other cities our size and bigger and smaller.
Yeah, this is a pretty powerful thing we're working on here. So happy to be part of it.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
Hey, Dave, you said there's fewer first calls, but there's more additional follow-ups. Do you think this is a trend that's going to continue? And if it is, are you surprised it's happening this soon into the program?
I hope this would happen. I hope that our additional follow-ups, and we really concentrated this year on doing more follow-ups, that we thought we could effectively just reduce overall calls coming into Impact. So hard to correlate that, but I think that makes sense. We have 550 more follow-ups. We think that's resulted in, well, data-wise, 117 fewer calls. So I think the more we can get out front and provide some case management, some mental health help, some addictions counseling, we reduce those calls coming into the PD and reduce the calls and the frequency that we're getting from those who use our program.
Can you, without disclosing too much, can you give us an example of how you determine who needs follow-ups and how many follow-ups? Because I'm sure some need more hand-holding than others.
Yeah, that's a great Susie question. I have my response, but hear it from the horse's mouth.
So we follow up on every single call as long as they want us to. We follow up within 24 to 48 hours. At that point, we say you can call us anytime. They will often call. If we find something, so like what I've just read, I followed up with family 24 to 48 hours afterwards, but it's been a week or so and just kind of trying to figure out how things are going, but he messaged me first. So this is one of those where I will probably check up again here in about a week, still feeling good. When it comes to substance use, we are often, Tiffany and I are often very pushy. Have you made your appointments? Are you going to your appointments? Same with mental health, we do the same thing. Are you doing what you need to do? Do you need help doing what you need to do? And we make the time to make sure they're following up on their end and doing their part. So it really varies call for call.
Thank you, young lady.
Any other questions?
Your Honor, may I?
You may.
David, I was looking at your guys' webpage, and I, see that you guys are offering, counseling services and advocacy for foster care, aftercare, and supportive housing and everything. So, like, any community member can reach out to YSS and kind of ask for those services, ask for that help type thing, or do they have to be referred?
Yeah, you just give us a call and we can maybe work through a circumstance. We work with foster care kids with aftercare. We do addictions counseling, therapy, work with low-income families. So if we don't have an answer or resource, we're going to connect you to one of our community partners who can assist.
Okay, and for homeless circumstances as well? type
Yeah,
thing?
we've got transitional living apartments and rapid rehousing apartments for a certain age group. Usually it's about 17 and a half to 24, 25. But we're limited in the apartments we have and units we have, and they're full all the time. So we're a resource for the homeless, but we don't have all those answers either. The largest percent, of people that Susie and Tiffany are working with are the homeless. So we're using donated dollars to put people in hotels till we can buy some time, so the next day we can figure out how to connect them with family or the Bridge Home and Ames or other services. And just like the police have to do, it's 11:30 at night, you find somebody who's homeless, we got to figure it out. It's usually a hotel stay, but there's a lot of risks with that. But it's kind of what we're charged to do. Otherwise, it's the police's burden, and their resources are better used in other areas.
Thank you so much for all the work you two do.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you all.
Any public comment on this one? Great report, again.
Thank
Thanks. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
I would just like to commend them from the public standpoint, the great job that you are doing for the community. Good job.
Thank you.
And for those at home that couldn't hear that, was a member of the public, we're not taking names tonight apparently, commending them for doing the great job no, I didn't ask Susie her last name either, or her address, for the great job that YSS has done. And I got to put an explanation on it. I know you just got an award recently too, yourself personally. I went over to Ames once with the home offices for the things that this organization does around the state, up in Mason City and other places. It's just a wonderful resource. And Kara Warmy is our newest representative that represents part of this county. She's going down to the State House, and she's been working there for a number of years. They're a Stanford graduate, brilliant person. So it's a great organization doing great things around here.
Yeah, and one last thing, our brand new Ember recovery facility is opening up next month south of Ames in Cambridge. It's a 70-bed facility for addictions recovery, homeless youth, respite care, just a whole variety of, youth placed outside of the home. So look for that to come online next month. It's called Ember, located in Cambridge. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you much. Just one motion tonight.
Motion to reschedule the December 23rd council meeting to December 20th at noon.
I'll bet that won't
Move
be
to
any
approve.
trouble since I announced that if it goes to the 20th, I can't make it. Is there a motion and a second? Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the second.
I'm
Thank you.
I'm talking too much again tonight, sorry. Any discussion about it?
Your Honor,
Yeah.
if you can't be there, then why do we have to be there?
Because you'd enjoy the meeting better because Mike runs it better. And he doesn't lose his vote. Let's call the roll.
Thompson,
Yes.
Fonseca,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Audioff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Well, I won't see you, but everybody else will see you on the 20th at noon on Friday. We tried it remote and it doesn't work. It really does not. It was the one time we tried it was a total failure. All
Your Honor,
right,
if I may,
you may.
the time we tried it, Greg, for your information, we couldn't hear Joel over the ice clicking in his glass.
You know, I did quit drinking, but. Right, right. Let's go on to resolutions, though. What's our first one?
Public hearing and resolution 2024-277 to approve the urban renewal plan amendment for the Marshalltown Urban Renewal Area Number 4.
Let's open the public hearing right now at 5:56 PM. Did you get any written comments into the clerk's office?
No, Your Honor.
Oddly enough, the public comment comes before staff review. Any public comment on this one? Not seeing anybody raise a hand or jumping up from the chair. Let's go on to staff review.
This relates to an urban renewal plan amendment to accommodate changes in the central business district programs. It allows us to fund an additional $100,000, I believe, over the next 4 years for a safety and security grant and for an expanded the ADA accessibility grant.
Any discussion or comments up here? No, I go to council comments only, yes. All right, I'll declare the public hearing is closed at 5:57 PM. Is there a motion to approve it?
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
Roll call.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Fonseca, yes, Kell,
Yes.
Laddiehoff,
Yes.
Very good. Next,
we have a public hearing and resolution 2024-278 to approve an amended economic development support agreement with the Marshalltown Central Business District, Inc., authorizing tax increment payments and pledging certain tax increment revenues to the payment of the agreement.
public hearing is now open at 5:58 PM. You didn't receive any written comments, did you?
No.
Time for public comments. Anybody wish to speak on this one? Staff review. Got to press the, there you go.
This is essentially putting the change that we've made in the urban renewal plan into the agreement with the central business district to administer these programs.
Very good. Any council comments? I will declare this public hearing closed at 5:59 PM. Is there a motion to approve this one?
For approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Roll call.
Kell,
Yes.
Laddiehoff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Fonseca, yes.
That literally took less than 2 minutes to do two of them with votes. That's set a record, I think. On to ordinances.
Ordinance 15097 to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Marshalltown, Iowa, Chapter 156, zoning, first reading.
Move for approval.
Thank you. Is there a second? Oh, I'm sorry. I have to adjust my hearing aids now. Discussion.
John Boston, 1710 Rainbow Drive. I'm the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. This is a combination of two things. One was McFarland Clinic requested a change to the PI, Public Institution Zone Districts, to change the ground solar panels from not allowed to special use permit. The second thing is the consolidation of all the changes we had on the agenda that finishes all the changes we've been looking at for the last few months. So we don't know of any future ones coming up, but I'm sure there'll be something shows up in the future. So I'll just go through these sections one at a time and explain them briefly. Section 1, the public institution district did not have any setbacks listed. So we developed the setbacks for this, checked all of the public institution districts in Marshalltown to make sure that these setbacks didn't conflict with any of them, and also checked with the school district to make sure it wouldn't conflict with anything going on with Miller's expansion. To the best of the school district's knowledge, these were fine. Section 2 amendment, this is where we decided to change the PI district ground solar panels from not allowed to a special use permit, and also had found in the urban core district that it allowed filling stations. And we didn't think that was really appropriate, so we changed that to not allow filling stations in the historic part of the urban core district. Section 3, we're changing the title on the ground solar to just say standards for in-ground solar panel arrays. Section 4 is some wording also that we developed in association with the PI districts that says that if there's a residential building within 300 feet of the actual solar panels, then they have to get that occupant's or owner's permission to build and with some other conditions. If it's over 300 feet away, it's basically with a special use permit, they can go ahead and do it. We don't think this will impact very many properties. For example, the hospital, the college, and McFarland's, there isn't any residential anywhere within 300 feet. But if you looked at, for example, the veterans home, there is in some parts of the veteran home property. So, Section 5, employees of home occupation. The city code had been changed years ago to not allow any outside employees. You had to live on the property. It was felt that due to all the other communities around Iowa that allow one employee, we should consider that. It was, we had mixed inputs on it. I think most people have forgotten why we changed years ago from one employee allowed to 0 employees. So you might want to take a second look at that one and think about it. Also, in relation to the home occupations, there wasn't any violation section. So that was amendment, Section 6 amendment. Section 7, there also was nothing about swimming pools. Trey, our zoning officer that was working here, said that he had one inquiry about a swimming pool and he didn't know how to answer it. So with no requirements, they could basically do anything they wanted. So we added some requirements, and that's the bulk of this change, because we got into quite a few details, and Trey researched about 6 or 7 other communities around the state to see what they were doing. Section 8 amendment, I think I mentioned this one other time, that the buffering requirement around ground solar panels included shade trees, which made no sense whatsoever. So what we ended up doing was adding actually a buffering requirements for solar array substitutions. There you could use plantings, and 6B is privacy fence in case you don't want to maintain, plants, and also clarified a little bit about the spacing. Section number 9 had some the pylon or pole signs had some vague language that made it sound like the pole had to be the same size as the sign or a certain percentage of it. So we fixed that language to verify that it's based on the face of the sign, the base has to be a certain size, and that's to keep it from blowing over, basically. Also, Section 10 amendment, pole signs, we didn't have any requirements at all. Those fields were all left blank for some reason. So these were the fields that we filled in. Section 11 is definitions for that were now required based on all the other changes. I'll just read the titles: home-based business, no impact, swimming pool, temporary above ground, and then some changes to the utilities definition. So that's all of the changes.
Very good, thank you. Time for discussion up here.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
Hey, John, on the home-based business,
Yeah,
I'm assuming the one employee is a non-family member.
it could be a family member.
Oh, so they would have to
It could be a
acknowledge-
family member or a non-family member. They just don't live in the property.
Oh, okay. So I guess I'm trying to say is they could have 3 family members living in that
Yeah,
house that
if it's
wouldn't
mom,
count.
dad, and a couple of kids living in the house, they've got 4 there, and if they got another kid or just a friend living someplace else, they could come in and help.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
John, you're alluding there must be some sort of story or reason why we went to 0. Can you let the council know what that is?
It's quite a few years ago. I think we had a problem with a couple of businesses where it said 1 employee, and they were like wanting to bring in 2 half-time employees. And then a couple of them were kind of abusing it. I think neighbors got upset because they were parking in the street, and we kind of want them to park in their driveway. So I don't remember all the details. It's just been too long ago. But it was something like that.
Anyone else up here?
Your Honor, may I?
You may.
John, with the, I think you used an example as the veterans home. If they wanted to put in-ground solar panels, they would have to ask the residential property owners, the adjacent ones, or?
If they were within 300 feet of
feet.
their house.
Okay, so it could only be maybe 1 or 2 that they would, or whatever, it depends on.
It depends on
yeah.
where they put the panels.
Okay,
There are places on the soldiers' home, for example, that are more than 300 feet from any residential building. And let me clarify, it's not residential property line, it's the house itself.
okay,
So,
okay. And so, just to clarify, and the only places that there can be in-ground solar panels are non-residential properties, right? In city
right,
limits?
well, it's not allowed in, well, let me tell you where it is allowed.
Yeah.
If you approve this, it'll be allowed in the public institution, agricultural, and industrial areas.
Okay, but residential, it would need to be on the roof.
Has to be
Right,
on the roof.
Okay,
Or commercial has to
Oh,
be on the
commercial.
roof right now.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
All right.
You know, I have one more question for John.
Sure.
Sorry, John. Is there something in the works? Do you need this sped up? Or do we need to go through the whole process of all 3 readings?
I don't see anything controversial on any of this. I know that McFarland's in a little bit of a hurry because they want to go ahead and do some contracting to get things done this spring. So that's up to you guys. I know you're a little resistant to waiving a 3rd reading on things, so.
Can we get a timetable from them? Is that possible?
Hello, my name's Ron Franzen. I'm from Ames, 2418 Ridgetop Circle, and I'm here representing McFarland Clinic on your question. We are actually in even more of a concern about getting the solar panels ordered before new tariffs take place, because that can have a real detrimental cost impact to our project overall. And that's if they take place. But our goal is to try to get, as soon as we can get council approval and a permit, we want to get the items ordered. The electrical switchgear that we need is 36 weeks out before we can even see it. Solar panels are about that same time. So if we're lucky, we may have a system operational by October of '25 at this point. Now, that's assuming that we'd be able to sign contracts by February 1. Okay, so every week or a couple weeks I can get ahead of that, I potentially will be able to stay away from future tariffs that may be coming forward. So that's even a new item for us as well. So hopefully that answered your question. Perfect.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Thank
Your Honor,
you.
if I may,
You may.
where will these solar panels be built at?
I believe your question is where are they manufactured at?
Correct.
Yeah, they're coming from China. So they're either China or Taiwan, different places depending on the manufacturer that's providing them. We've looked at trying to get as much U.S. product made. We're buying all the steel for the racking U.S. made, but we just simply can't get past where the actual components are made.
Thank you. And just, you were the nice person that made the nice comment about the impact program.
Yes, yes, I was.
Now we have your name and address. And
You bet.
appreciate you coming over from Ames.
Absolutely.
Any other questions by the councilors up here? Otherwise, I'll ask for public input.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Any public input? No?
One
more
other,
thing? Sure.
one other comment is that once you approve this, then McFarland has to go through the special use permit process still, which is about a month process.
Another option always is that we can waive the third reading, put the ordinance in effect, and if it isn't working or we find something that's a problem, we can amend it later. Just as a thought. Sure.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. John Hall, Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce, 34 West Main Street. Just want to reiterate support for the McFarland efforts. They had been going through the solar process and kind of got swept up in the moratorium that was put in place as a result of probably some unfortunate ground-mounted solar in residential areas. So this process had been going on and has taken a little longer. But as I think you've seen, we are very fortunate to have such a committed health partner in our community that is willing to continually invest in their property. And I do have letters of support from both Unity Point Health and Iowa Valley Community College. Both are facilities that have an abundance of land. Solar is a consideration for them in the future, and they both fall under the PI zoning, and so they would currently be prohibited from constructing ground-mounted solar, but would like to be considered for that. And I'll submit both of those letters for the public hearing for the next meeting, but I wanted to let you guys know that. So, thank you.
Thanks, John. Anybody else? Let's call a roll on the motion on the ordinance.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Montyhoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Because it was suggested, I ask if anybody wishes to move to waive the second and third readings.
We can't do that, Your Honor. We have to have a public hearing at the next meeting.
No. I gave it my best shot. All right.
Ask again at the meeting you won't be at.
There you go. Mike, can you remember that? I'd forget it completely. Okay. Good enough. Very good. Okay. And John, thank you again. By the way, we have a new person who's likely going to be serving on planning and zoning, and I think you'll be pleased. It's a long history. It's a good tradition of good people being on that. And I can't believe how much work you guys have done in the last 2 years trying to clean up our ordinance here. It's been great. All right, discussion items, technology improvement request.
Yes, Your Honor.
Will this work better if your technology doesn't work?
We've had some difficulties tonight. So that is what we are proposing, that we do an upgrade to our agenda management system and meeting management and minutes management. Our website vendor offers a module that will help us handle all of those items. It will include a council portal that councilors will be able to take internal notes for their own record on all the agendas. It'll offer a resident portal for our agenda center, which is a improvement from what we currently have, and I'll pull up an example here.
If we weren't so budget conference, we'd probably each have a monitor up here.
So this is an example of what the the front-facing portal will look like for agendas and minutes. You'll see that it will list out all the different meetings that we have, and then it will also show you, sorry, this is hard to scroll here, the items that have meeting or videos associated with them. So like this meeting here has a video of it that you can also view. I need to open one up here. This is one of their council meetings here. So you'll see it will open the agenda. One of the items that we wanted to achieve with an upgrade was to be able to post our agenda in Spanish. So you can see up here, you have your regular agenda, you have the full agenda packet that includes all the attachments that are in the packet, and then it also gives us the option to have the agenda in Spanish. So you'll see on the side here, it has the meeting overview that we're in, and it has the meeting media, so where you can open the actual meeting to view it. You'll see on the side here that it gives timestamps to all the items on the agenda. So if you're ever looking for certain things, you can jump ahead in your videos. You can change your view to also have the agenda behind the video as you're watching it. You should be able to resize the video so you can also be looking at the agenda items as you're watching the meeting. Let's see. So that is the main package that we will need to get. It's called Civic Clerk in order to have any of the add-ons that we'll talk about next. Is there any questions about this portion before I move on? So there's
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I have a question. With this package, is Spanish the only language that is offered?
So we're the ones that would be doing the translation. The module doesn't do it itself. So we would do the translation and upload it. So if we wanted to do other languages, we could also upload the agendas in other languages. As far as what we're going to talk about next, the actual translation of the videos, it can, but we would have to pay for each language. But we'll talk about that in the next one here. So it has an add-on called Live Meeting Manager, and that will provide kind of an enhancement to what the audience is looking at instead of just staring at our agenda that we usually have up on the screen. It will pull up any presentations that are actually being given in the chambers and follow along. It will, let me pull up another example. So this one here, this is the custom view that they have with their cameras. But you'll see that on this white screen, it displays what the item that they're talking about is. And then down here, it has a timer. Let me pause that. So it'll show what item we're talking about. After you vote, it'll display what the vote is, and if it passed or failed, it has a timer. So if someone were giving public comment, they would be able to view a countdown of their 3 minutes to help keep on track. And again, the bookmarking, so it just has different enhancements like that. And then the next add-on that we could utilize is Civic Media. So currently we're using YouTube to stream and store our videos, and we could use our website instead. I'm going to show you an example of that. Oops.
chronic neurological sleep disorder that has been
So with Civic Media, we would host the live stream on our website instead of YouTube. And you have the option to pay for closed captioning services and translation services. So this is an example of a town that is using the Spanish translation. When you go into that citizen portal to open up the meeting, you play the meeting. You'll see the closed captioning is defaulted on. If you wanted to see the translation, you would have to click on closed captioning and select Spanish. And so then it will translate it for you there. So currently on YouTube, you can also, it does include closed captioning and Spanish, all types of different languages on YouTube that you can select. It is just taking a few more clicks to get there, is one of the differences there. And then lastly, we would like to change our codification services over to Civic Plus. Currently we use another company that does a full service module. So whenever we adopt an ordinance, it usually doesn't get updated it's updated on a quarterly basis, basically. So it can take anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks before an ordinance update shows in our online code. So switching over to this self-publication model will allow us to immediately publish it after the council adopts it. So we also will be able to provide redline copies of the changes that are being made, and then like a full history of ordinance changes under all the codes. So this change will actually be a savings each year, moving to the self model. So I'm open to council input on which of these options you'd like to implement, if any.
Your Honor, I guess I'll go first. The Civic Clerk Pro Premium, the live meeting, obviously, has a lot of, from what I looked at earlier, a lot of tools. And then I would say the Civic Plus Media, that's the one that would replace the YouTube, correct?
Correct.
That's the one I'd say we're fine with the YouTube function for the after effect. And then obviously the municipal code one, because that's what I hate is I send people to the website to look at our codes and they're not updated for months. So they're reading the wrong thing. So that's the no-brainer there. So I guess I started off, I'll say the first two, Civic Clerk Pro Premium, Live Meeting Manager, and then the Muni Code would be the three that I would be in favor of.
There we go. Okay.
I gotta lose weight.
So I think that the Civic Clerk Pro Premium and the Live Meeting Manager, as well as the Civic Plus Media and the Municode are good ideas for getting the system upgraded, getting this flow, getting this nice look to our city website that's used by the whole community. If we look at the views that are on YouTube, there are a lot of views on a lot of the meetings, and I think this just incorporates it all in one, and that way it's just all accessible. It's right there. It allows the public to see the agenda, read it, watch the video, and I think it just creates more transparency with the community. And if I'm going to talk on the Civic Plus Media on the translation services, it is a translation per the word. So I think we average around 16,000 words in a meeting, the 2-hour meetings or whatever we average. And I mean, Carol, city administrator, had said that it would be around $8,000 a year for those additional translation services. And so if we're looking at about 40% of the population that speaks Spanish and reads Spanish and other languages, I think that $8,000 combined with all the taxpayer money that has been spent by those or paid by those individuals, then this is a minuscule thing for the community. So I motion that we implement the technology improvements, including the translation services.
Can I ask a question first of the people?
I'll second.
Okay. Now discussion?
Discussion. So what was the comparison of the YouTube, when you do the comparison of YouTube to the Civic Plus Media? Now, YouTube will do translations as well, correct? So when you did a plus and minus, could you tell us what your plus and minus of each ones were?
Well, looking at the demo, I mean, the YouTube takes a few more clicks. If you want me to show you on our channel how that's accomplished.
I just want your comparison. I don't know that I need to go through the analysis.
Your Honor, may I make a comment? So when I've gone on the YouTube, you look up City of Marshalltown, and then you find the channel. You get on there, and you're going to do it now, and you're going to go, and it's not going to be organized. There are videos from 5 to 6 years ago, maybe 7, a long time ago, on the header. So see, look, go down on the videos.
You have to click on live. That's where they're in order.
They're not always like that. If you're not subscribed to this channel, it does not show up like that. If you're not logged in and have a
This isn't
have an
logged
account.
in.
This one is.
No. If you just, the difference is going from the home page, you have to click on the live page, and then it will have all the meetings in order by date name. And so.
I think it's essentially like streamlining it. If you have all of those packages together, you can click on all of those things just as Alicia showed there, right together. If not, you have to dig just a tiny bit to get to the video. But I think, you can still get a translated version through YouTube for that, yeah.
I assume there's a cost for YouTube for translations as well?
No.
Your Honor, just to get some clarification, we would still publish on YouTube as well, right?
No.
So why wouldn't we still syndicate on YouTube? There's lots where a lot of consumers get their information from. Is there anything preventing us in this package from doing that?
There would not be anything preventing us from doing that, so that would be something that we could continue to do if that's what the council wanted us to do, to maintain the YouTube channel also. I believe.
Yeah, I propose an amendment to the motion on the floor that we still dual stream on YouTube as well.
Is there a second to that amendment? Fails. I'm not sure we have said that we were going to quit doing it, and whatever the motion is, we'll be directing staff, right?
Maybe you can repeat the original motion?
The original motion is to implement all the technology improvements requested along with the translation services, with an amendment to dually stream our meetings through the website and also through YouTube.
I didn't hear a second to the.
We'll second that.
Okay. Well, let's solicit other comments up here or out in the public.
Your Honor, when the other counselors have finished, I would like to follow up on the question.
Other counselors first?
So this seems like we're creating more work and dual on one portion of it, which is the media. That seems like it'd be making more work overall.
Go ahead, Gary.
I want to get to the financial bottom of this. What is it costing us to put them on YouTube? What are we paying YouTube to upload those to our channel?
There is no fee.
So you're talking about a $6,000 package yearly up front, and then plus the closed captioning, which we don't know what that is, right? Because
It's per word.
per word.
Per word.
That's automatic if we allow but it's only when the user goes in and, oh no, we have to pay for that closed captioning
Pay
up
for the
front
translation service.
to allow it, yeah, and then we pay per word, okay. So, help me understand, we're talking a total, based on the amendment, or based on the motion and the amendment, we're talking about an annual fee of $16,950 that will come out of the general fund, am I correct?
For ongoing, the first year would be lost funds. The first year for implementation, there's an additional cost for implementation.
But the ongoing is $16,950, correct?
Yes, that's how we pay for all of the Civic Plus modules that we use out of the general fund.
So in other words, Lost will continue to pay for this service on a yearly basis because we move Lost funds into the general fund every year. So what we're really voting on tonight, however we decide, we're voting on authorizing you to use Lost funds for a total of $16,950 every year.
Yeah, and that doesn't include the translation fees, too. I just want to point that out on top of that, yeah.
Thanks, I just wanted to understand that. Thanks, Your Honor.
Anyone else up here first? It is now open to the public.
I was just looking at the number of views on the YouTube, and it ranges anywhere from 300 down to 150. So that's something to consider too. Also, if you can go this route with this other one, it might be a good idea to do like some other cities do and have a Zoom capability for people that physically can't make it to these meetings, where they can comment on things and ask questions, just like the people that come here do, to give them access. Because, I mean, in this day and age, we should be able to do that. So thank you.
Other public comment? Let's call the roll on the motion to amend first.
Bodyhoff? Mitchell?
No.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
No.
Cal? I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes.
Okay, that did carry then, the amendment carried, so we would continue to maintain YouTube. And now let's vote on the motion as amended.
Fonseca?
The motion that I made, or with
Correct.
the amendment?
Yeah,
Yep, with the
original
amendment.
motion.
Your Honor,
as
can we
With
make
the
another
amendment.
amendment?
With the amendment, Alicia? Yeah.
Yeah,
The amendment failed, or, excuse me, the amendment passed, so yes, with the amendment.
No.
So Alicia, can I make another amendment?
Yes.
well, I don't know.
This is a motion to improve all the technology improvements and also maintain YouTube.
Mayor, it might be helpful to have Alicia repeat the motion that was just approved, yes.
The amendment that just passed was to dually stream our meetings on YouTube and Civic Media. And the original motion that we're now voting for is to implement all the technology improvements as requested with translation services.
And then the question I'd like to address is whether there's still time to make another motion to amend it. The original, or the motion now as amended. I don't know any reason you can't.
So I'd like to make the amendment that we strike the civic package and not have dual work on that. The media package, just the media package. I want all the others in place.
Could you, Your Honor, can you restate that, please?
So I would make the amendment to take out the Civic Plus Media part so that it is at the civic clerk, the live minute manager, but not the video streaming, since this is redundant of the Zoom, of the YouTube.
You still want the municipal code part of the, yeah, that's a standalone. I'll second that.
Okay, let's call the roll on that one. Does everybody understand it? It's basically to not pay additional money to do what YouTube is doing, as I understand it.
Your Honor, could we discuss a little bit?
Yeah,
I don't believe it's truly redundant. I think it offers things that YouTube does not add. I really think we should keep both.
Other discussion up here?
Your Honor?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm generally supportive of making this as accessible as possible for the public in any of the means that are best for them to either research or absorb the information. I think the discussion where we're headed tonight is what is the cost of the 150 to 300 people that view our live stream. The services aren't the same. It isn't one for one. But at the same point, we know there is a cost for the closed captioning. We know there's a cost for the translation. I think we just need to decide, is that cost worth the reach that we get, or maybe it expands the reach? I don't know, but that's kind of where my mind is anyway. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Your Honor, if I may. Councilman Kell brought up a good point. Let me go back to this, and maybe I didn't ask this question correctly. The Civic Plus Media, will it handle any language of all of our residents? Because like what Councilman Kell was saying, we want more engagement, we want more people to watch this. So does anybody at any language go in and click and they can get what their translation and?
You can do that on YouTube, but yeah, after the fact. And through Civic Plus, they offer 67 different languages, but we would have to have a contract for that be paying for that language. And right now, Spanish would be the only one that we would
So
be
is Spanish
paying for.
included with this cost, or is there a?
No, we're estimating an additional $8,000 per year for the closed captioning and Spanish translation.
And we're leaving out all the other languages in the city, correct?
Correct. So if we maintained YouTube, they would still have the option to go there and select a language on that
After
video.
the fact, but
Yeah.
Civic Media, what we're really paying for is Spanish translation immediate during the meeting.
Yes.
Your Honor, may I?
Yes.
So Lisa, it would be, for the Civic Media, it would be live translation during the meeting, right? It would be, as we're speaking right now, that's what YouTube doesn't do.
Correct.
So that way, it allows individuals who
I guess
are
I'm not
watching
sure.
it live to read and then to comment. And we think about, okay, well, it's going to exclude all the other languages. This way it already is, because individuals that speak other languages are not seeing it. I mean, at least in Spanish, it includes one. One is something.
Do all the modules cost about the same? So if the Burmese community wanted to have.
That's not an offered language.
Oh, it isn't? Okay. How about Sudanese, whatever that is? I know we have 50 languages in this city.
So I'm assuming French would be, though, and things like that?
Correct. I was just going to pull up our live and see if YouTube does translate it, because I guess I'm not positive it does. Does not. It wouldn't let me turn closed captioning on, which you have to have in order to have translation.
So, Your Honor, may I? Okay. So I'm going to make a difficult statement here, and I don't mean this to sound the way it's going to sound, but there's no way around this. What we're saying is we're going to put one minority ahead of all the other minorities. We're going to choose one segment of the population when everybody has the same option to learn English that came to this country. So I guess I'm saying I'm not willing to spend the taxpayers' money to omit the people that live in my neighborhood over another segment of the population.
Your Honor, may I?
You may.
I'm very sorry you feel that way, Counselor Thompson, because if you look at the population you serve, there is already 33% or more that speak, read, and write Spanish. So we as a council need to realize that if we are representing our constituents, tax-paying constituents who have been paying taxes for decades here in Marshalltown. So the first year, this is a contract for 1 year, and we can check and see how it does, and it will provide that inclusivity and that transparency, not only to everyone English-speaking, but also to the Spanish-speaking community that are here and haven't been included in this way ever. So we need to realize that as a council and recognize.
Other council comment?
Your Honor, if I may,
You bet.
I really think we can use our money a little bit wisely than putting it towards one particular minority, as Councilman Thompson said. Nothing against that, because I work with Hispanics and other nationalities where I work for my son. But I think we can use that $8,000 to benefit more people.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
Our whole job up here is to serve our community, our whole community, everybody. I do not think that putting Spanish, translating to Spanish, hurts other people. I think it's an important first step in realizing that people who live here and pay taxes here. 25 years ago when I was on city council, people didn't want to have any signs put up in Spanish. Well, it's not that you want to put them up in Spanish, it's just that you don't want people doing certain things. And we all talk about being inclusive. We all talk about everybody counts, yay, Marshalltown. And I want more Latino participation in our city government, more. They pay a lot in taxes, they've earned it. They own part of this government, whether you like it or not. And someday, we won't be talking about having to worry about Spanish because everyone will be speaking English. My family's German. And if you go back in the TR far enough, you find a bunch of people at the wall. Why don't the Germans learn how to speak English? Well, we did, but we needed some help. So, in my view, it would be beneath us not to try to connect the Latino community with us live so that if they have a question live, like anyone else that pays taxes in this community, they can ask. I just don't think that the minor cost I think that it is worth going through a year of, and let's see how many connections we get. Let's see how many people start watching. Because we want more people to be watching and seeing what we do and being a part of this community. Thank you.
So, Your Honor, so to have YouTube only, from my perspective, I'm not trying to exclude anybody, because you can they can listen to a whole variety of languages. The live streaming doesn't really let you participate in an active way. I can't comment from a live stream. I can watch a live stream. So I'm seeing this as pretty redundant, but I certainly don't want to exclude anybody. In fact, from the YouTube's perspective of the being able to do it in any language, I think is a broader reach than the Civic Media Plus with a language. Now, I'm not against languages. I think if we do reach out, we need to do some, we know we have a large Spanish population. We also need to do some, a little more research on which languages have other languages have a high load. So there's French for sure, and I'm not sure what the Burmese speak or push is, but if they don't have it anyway, that's an issue. But my point for YouTube only is we're getting the same reach. In fact, we're getting a bigger reach with YouTube. It's more clicks, but I still see it as pretty redundant. But I see it as reaching out and reaching across cultures, because it can go to it can go to Spanish, it can go to Burmese, it can go to French. We do need to encourage all our citizens, they're all a part of our community, to be a part of our government. And I support that 100%.
Any other counselor here hasn't spoken wish to speak? Otherwise, I'm going to call the roll. Let's call the roll.
Okay, so this is on the motion, the amended motion to strike the media package. Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Clarification, this is just the amendment, right?
correct.
No.
Thompson,
Yes.
Fonseca,
No.
Kell,
No.
The amendment carried, if my count was right.
yes, it was.
So now, let's read for the record what the next vote will be on, the motion as amended.
The motion as amended is to implement the technology improvements of Civic Clerk, Live Meeting Manager, and Muni Code.
Everybody understand that? Roll call.
Mitchell,
No.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Fonseca,
No.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff,
We have that direction to staff to carry through that motion. And our last item is allocation of American Rescue Plan ARPA funds. Who wants to take the lead on this one?
Diana will take the lead.
Good evening, Diana Steiner, Finance Director. At the last meeting, we talked about using some of the funds that we had set aside for the general fund and use it for the impact program. So they were originally allocated $400,000. This would boost that up to $600,000. However, when I was doing some crunching of numbers and trying to project out how much they would use through December of 2027, fiscal year 2027, I was projecting around $600,000. Well, that's a little bit too close too tight as far as being able to use the ARPA funds. If you don't use the ARPA funds if we gave them 600,000 and we didn't use the ARPA funds, then we'd have to return them to the federal government. So I'm sure you don't want to do that. So what I'm requesting is that we set aside the 550,000 for the ARPA funds for the impact program, and then if needed, use another $50,000 out of lost funds. So I need two directions from you. One is if that's okay, we can bring that back and amend their contract with impact. The contract needs to be signed by December 31st of this year. And then the second thing is the remaining money, we can use that for another project, either costs that have already been incurred, I can do a journal entry and move those around, or we can go forward and use it for another project such as the splash pad if you desire. So I need direction on two things.
Okay, the floor is open on that question.
So I would make, my suggestion would be the 550,000 from ARPA to impact, and take the 50,000 and apply it to existing expenses that we've already incurred. Make that a motion.
All right, discussion on that?
Your Honor, may I?
You may.
Could you repeat the motion, sorry?
550,000 of the ARPA funds, or the ARPA funds go to impact, with $50,000 that was the other of the 600,000 they weren't sure was going to get spent from the ARPA in that calendar year to go to existing expenses that were already incurred.
Let me ask our, Diana, do you understand what that would mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor,
I'm not sure I do.
A clarification from Diana. So the 51,000 you had said that you had suggested maybe going toward the Water Plaza, the Lynn Creek District projects, is that right? Potentially?
68,000 because we have the 50,000, and then we have another 18,000 on a project that we had budgeted for, but it came in under. So we have $68,000 that
Yes,
could be used towards the splash pad or any other project.
Yeah. So maybe clarification from Greg, is that what you meant? The 550,000 is outlined here with 50,000 from lost, and then the remaining goes toward that? You said money already spent, so I don't know what you mean.
So well, I wasn't designated existing project, so I didn't do that. I left that up to the, does that have to be designated? I left that up to the,
If I'm just doing a journal entry to correct money that's already been spent, then that's fine. If you're wanting to use it for a future project, then we have to have a contract signed by December 31st of this year.
my initial thoughts were existing, something that's already been spent.
That's easiest.
Your Honor, man. So in other words, his motion is the 550 to ARPA, and then we'll see how they do, and we may have to move lost. And the other thing is, when you say money already spent, it's general fund replacement funds. That's one of the things for
No.
ARPA.
Well, we have used general fund in the past for ARPA funds, but this would be a capitals project, if you're going to go with the splash pad or the Lynn Creek projects.
Do we really think if we didn't give YSS or impact program 600,000, you don't think they'd find a way to spend that by the end of 2027?
Their agreement is for the two social workers and the administration of that program. It's pretty specific of what we're reimbursing them for. So in the event that they have a vacancy factor, they have turnover, and it doesn't get spent, you're sending the money back to the feds.
I think they could use it in training. There's a lot of things they can put into that category.
But
So
we have to put that in the contract, which we'll be bringing you next
your
time.
numbers that you have on our spreadsheet, that's the numbers assigned that will be forwarded to the contract.
well, we'll put the 550,000 if you're agreeable to that. We'll pay for their expenses just like we have been for the last several years. In the event they run out of ARPA funds and they still need to get through December 31st to 27, you kick in local option sales tax. They may not need the local option sales tax, but in the event they do, it still gets them to the 600,000, which I'm projecting is what it's going to cost.
So since we're talking about ARPA funds, this other 68,000, there's nothing that we feel better about as social service program where ARPA was supposed to come in and do that thing for people. There's nothing that we have that we can move that to instead of a future project.
Yes, we can go back and pay for expenses we've already had for any of the construction projects, streets, whatever. If it was paid out of bond, now you want to switch it to ARPA, you can do that. I just need to know what we're doing before December 31st, so I got my ducks in a row. Because either contracts need signed or I got to spend the money.
But the motion on the table is 550,000, the 68,000 goes to the water plaza.
No, I didn't say, I said 50,000 was undesignated to go against existing projects. So however, that's fine.
So it's 50 plus the $18,000 I had left over in another project. That's how we're getting up to the 68, is what he's referring to. That's in my memo.
Your Honor, I'd like to make an amendment that I would like to take the $68,000 toward the Lynn Creek District projects.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Discussion. Public comment. Roll call on the amendment.
Mitchell,
No.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
No.
Fonseca. Yes. Kell,
Yes.
Lottioff,
Yes.
Okay. So now we have the motion as amended is 550,000 from ARPA to impact and 18,000 of the ARPA funds going to the Lynn Creek.
68,000.
68, I'm sorry. Not dinner yet either.
And if needed, if Impact is running their program and trying to get through December of 2026, fiscal year 27, then if they still need money, if they use all the ARPA funds up, do you still want them to use the local option sales tax in order to get them through December?
Not as the motion is pending right now. We can't commit to that.
Your Honor, I'd make another amendment to the motion to allocate $50,000 from loss to make that $600,000 whole.
To get them through December of 2026.
And I will second that because you need this for their contract, correct?
Yes.
Let's call the roll on that amendment.
Lottioff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Fonseca. Yes. Kell,
Yes.
Amendment carried. I better have you read what your motion is going to read in the minutes when I read it later. This is on the original motion that is amended twice.
Okay. The motion will be to allocate $550,000 of ARPA funds to impact, $50,000 of lost to impact, and $68,000 to the of ARPA funds to the Lynn Creek District projects.
Roll call on this one.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Lottioff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Carried, and thanks, Diana, for all your work on that. We'll get those contracts signed. With that, we are adjourned at 7:01.